Now, just when you think you've reached rock bottom when it comes to anti-Semitism, it gets worse. Yesterday, punk duo Bob Vylan performed at Glastonbury and led crowds in a chant, "Death, death to the IDF," and the crowd idiotically joined in.
Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF!
BBC condemned the set as deeply offensive. The organisers of Glastonbury said they're appalled by the chanting. But is this not more evidence that anti-Semitism is now well and truly in the mainstream? I am joined by investigative journalist David Collier. David, welcome to the show.
Hi, Josh.
David, both of us have been involved in fighting anti-Semitism for years now.
Too many years.
Too many years. It feels like this weekend, unfortunately, that we've really crossed the Rubicon.
Well, look, you can look at it as a milestone. You could say, like, there will be people say, do you remember when? But in reality, it just exposes what's already there. This wasn't a single man standing up and making these kind of comments. First of all, to put this in context, the IDF, it's a people's army. You know, everybody's conscripted. So when you say death, death to the IDF, you're talking about every single Israeli, man and woman, between the ages of 18 and 21.
And Jew, Christian, Druze.
The Druze, the Bedouin.
Muslims also serve in the army.
For sure. So it is a call for genocide. So there's that, first of all, that he was making a public call for genocide. Secondly, you have the crew, the people behind him on the stage, by the side of the stage. If he'd have made that kind of comment about another minority group, somebody could have flicked the switch, turn off the lights, turn off the sound, taken action against him. Nobody did anything. Third part of it is you've got the crowd. So the crowd listening to a call for the murder of about 200,000 Jews, 200,000 people, as you said as well, Druze, and just start chanting it back to him and applauding him. And then, of course, you've got the BBC. The BBC just kept airing it. They could also have pulled the plug. There's a team there. So
there's a delay.
It's a team effort. And that is what really we have to think about here. It wasn't just a man, it was an entire team effort that presented that level of raw genocidal anti-Semitism on our screens. Which, by the way, of course, because it's the BBC, we're all paying for.
Yeah. So, I mean, seeing that, the hate, I mean, the irony, of course, it being a music festival, which is meant to be a one that declares itself as, identifies as being about love and peace. Well,
the most sickening aspect of this, of course, is that October the 7th started with an attack on a music festival at which hundreds, 380 people were massacred at a music festival just like Glastonbury. So it really should have been the people of Glastonbury standing in solidarity with the victims of Nova, not with the terrorists who carried out that massacre.
Just as shocking for me as well, people are focusing very much on this death to the IDF, but was his sort of ramble before about how he worked for a Zionist and sort of swearing about this horrible man, basically code for Jew who supports Israel, and the venom and the hate and the bigotry that was on display. And again, as you said, no one challenged it, no one stood up and went, actually, you know what, this is hateful.
Well, look, this is down to the politicians and our media who over the last 15, 20, 25 years have allowed for this code word, this word Zionist, to basically be used in place of the word. So it makes no sense in this kind of context when you're talking about someone you work with or a boss you had or your neighbour. It's meaningless. It's a pure change for the word Jew. He meant Jew. He just knows he can't say it. So he uses the word Zionist. But the way that our media has allowed this and permitted it, you know, where they've pushed this narrative, well, anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism, Zionism isn't all Jews. This has helped create this kind of atmosphere where someone can actually stand up on stage, say Zionist in that kind of context, but mean Jew, and get away with it.
Yeah, and be celebrated for it.
Absolutely.
And as you say, be paid money, part of it coming from the British taxpayer.
For sure. Absolutely.
Is there some sort of cycle of hate going on here where it's going out on the BBC, they're also putting out things like 14,000 babies being killed, modern blood libel, if there ever was some, going to people like that, going to the audience who are then putting out that hate, going out onto our media?
Well, for sure. I mean, look, we've seen the BBC over the last 2 years just become a version of Al Jazeera. You know, in fact, I view it as worse than Al Jazeera. It has a global credibility that places it in a really, truly scary situation where people trust it. The news that comes out daily on the BBC is trash. It really is. The stuff that they get out of Gaza is Hamas propaganda. They push it out as if it's true. Channel 4, Sky News, they're all doing it.
Well, you did an expose this week just on Channel 4. They'd won awards for that, and then you went into it, and as you do, you get in there and you find the stuff that's for anybody to find.
Well, yeah, they turn around and they always say, well, we're not allowed into Gaza, so we can't, find... Well, I'm in London and I'm finding it, so if I can do it, they can do it. You know, it's just a lazy excuse they use all the time. But yes, look, Gaza is very simple. If you have a position of power in Gaza, you are connected and affiliated with a terrorist group. It's that simple. There's nobody in a position in power. It doesn't matter whether it's the director of a hospital or a director of a university or it's the head of a clinic somewhere. Nobody in a position of power in Gaza is unaffiliated to a terrorist group.
Well, on Channel 4, we've got a documentary coming out on Wednesday called Gaza, Doctors Under Attack, that was actually too anti-Semitic, I guess, even for the BBC, or not impartial. If that's possible. It's not impartial enough for the BBC to put out, too pro-Hamas, but the Channel 4 have sort of lapped it up and said, no, we'll put it out.
Well, this is it. I mean, the BBC, after they got caught with the Hamas terrorist in February, where they created a documentary using the son of a Hamas terrorist for the...
And that you uncovered.
In London. Exactly. So, Channel 4 have come along and the BBC have said, no, this is too anti-Semitic for us. We're not sure. And oh, no, let us, we'll do it. And it's coming out and people will buy into it. It will probably win awards.
Yeah. You'd say, as you say, you live in London. I don't want to reveal where you've lived in London, but one of the things I've been reading about is someone seems to know where you live. Your car has been vandalised. You've had to get it fixed and then hide it to sell it, to get a new car, so that's not vandalised. I mean, what's been the price that you've paid for standing up and fighting against that?
Well, look, I mean, I don't look on it as it's something I've always thought I have to do. It's not... I've been assaulted a couple of times on the street. I've had my car, as you say, it's been attacked twice, actually, over the last 4 or 5 months. My children are under strict instructions at university not to tell anyone who Daddy is. The house is cameraed up. We've got CCTV everywhere. I go out and on the streets. And last week I was at the Palestine Action, the demonstration against Palestine, prescription of Palestine Action. I'm spotted almost immediately. I have people doing this kind of, stuff at me. People coming up, threatening me. It's constant. But at the end of the day, this is a fight that has to be picked up, because if we don't do it, if we just roll over, then where are we going to be? So I get the question, but I kind of just...
End of the Jewish community in the UK, and then possibly end of the West as we know it.
Well, the Jews are just the front line. That's all this is. People really, really do need to understand. I mean, history has shown us time and time again, it's not about the Jews. It's far, far bigger than just us. We're just basically something that people piggyback on at the beginning, and it's a sign when this happens to the Jewish community. It tends to be a sign things are desperately wrong with the society that you're living in.
And I saw great signs of that this weekend. Thank you very much for joining us, investigative journalist David Collier. Glastonbury Festival has said it's appalled by the statements made by Bobby Vylan of punk duo Bob Vylan during their set on Saturday. A post on Instagram said, as a festival, we stand against all forms of war and terrorism. We'll always believe in and actively campaign for hope, unity, peace and love. With almost 4,000 performances at Glastonbury 2025, there will inevitably be artists and speakers appearing on our stages with views we do not share, and performers' presence here should never be seen as a tacit endorsement of their opinions and beliefs. Also, Louisa Compton, Channel 4's head of news and current affairs and specialist factual and sports, said, we are showing this programme because we believe that following thorough fact-checking and verification, we are presenting a duly impartial view of a subject that both divides opinion and frequently provides dispute about what constitutes as fact. Well, you know what? David's going to be watching that on Wednesday, and we'll see if he's back here next Sunday.